you sexy people, it's Sport Like It Is time. My name is Ed. The Future and the Bounce are off frolicking around the Shire, watching some men in black run around some men in blue. Can you believe it? So I've got with me a man at the forefront of sports media in South Africa. He's got the most deepest and most impeccable tan I've ever seen and a set of pearly white teeth. His name is Derek Alberts. Derek Alberts, welcome to Sport Like It Is.
Thanks very much, Ed. It's fantastic to be here. I've been watching the show on numerous occasions, and I must say you guys phenomenal talent. Yourself, the bounce, the future. I think that hairstyle's very much of the past, though.
Possibly looking a bit thin on top.
Yes, no, completely. But I love it, and you guys are doing a fantastic show, and I'm glad to be part of it.
I believe that you desperately wanted to be a rugby player when you were at school. What on earth happened?
Well, I think everyone wants to be some kind of sportsman, and if you look at the size of me now, I'm without a doubt the smallest lock that ever existed. There's actually a funny story. Rudy could see, I don't even remember the name. He used to play centre for the Cats,
Yeah, well.
and we lined up. We were playing EP Southern Zone, and I remember standing behind this guy, and very Afrikaans. I was pretty much the only English guy in the team. And
So you must have felt right at home then.
Yes, no, I was completely at home. So I look up at this bloke, and knowing everyone else is Afrikaans, I said, "Sir, wat 'n posisie speel jy?" And he looked
I
down
don't
at
even
me.
know what that means.
He looked down at me. He goes, "Centre," and jy? And me being lock is the tallest position on the field. I go, "Slot." That was it. And I mean, he would have poached far more line-out ball than I could ever have, but he was in the back line, and I was without a doubt the smallest lock in that side. And I think those are pretty much where my dreams ended.
So you packed the boots up, and what inspired you to get into the media in the first place?
Well, I'm showing a little bit of my femininity, but I got involved in some kind of modelling show back in the day on
You
Mnet.
heard that. I heard that.
You remember that show Live at 5? John Vlismus used to host it with Candice Durman. That's some show on then, and luckily I won it. I was in matric at the time, and it was live TV, so it gave me the bug bit in terms of the media. And ever since then, I always thought, that's an option I can pursue.
Are you a bit of a performer?
Not in terms of acting. I used to perform in the shower, and I had my own little
Didn't we
stage
all?
back home. Yeah, exactly. But not on stage or anything like that. But I always liked the concept of being in media and not actually having to really work, because we don't really work, to be honest.
A lot of people say that working in the media and working in front of camera, when they step out of the studio lights, they feel a tension between the performance that goes on in front of camera and what they're like when they're in the boxes. Does that inhabit you in any way, or does it kind of all feel natural for you? Because it comes across, you're a very convivial kind of guy.
Well, I try not to have a big disparity between what I'm like in front of camera and behind camera, and I think a lot of people can vouch for that. The only difference is that when the camera's on and that red light's in your face, you do feel a bit of pressure. So ordinarily you always want to be like the guy sitting at a pub having a chat with your mates about rugby, but there is a camera on you, so it's not a natural situation, but you're trying to make it seem as natural as possible. I think a lot of my mates will say that, hey, you are pretty similar to what we see on camera, but I think maybe I talk a little too fast when the camera is on.
Nerves natural?
Nerves have to be natural. I think I've always said that if you're not nervous in front of camera, then you're pretty much done as a presenter. Because
Is it loss of stimulation then? Is it kind of complacency and that type of thing?
You want to be stimulated. You want to have that feeling when you're on camera that, hey, this is nerve-wracking. If I make a mistake, everyone will know, and I've got to be on top of my game.
Does that excite you? Does that just turn you off ever? Does it ever?
No, it has to excite you. I mean, that's why I'm in this game. You don't become a presenter by accident, so it definitely excites me, and I live for it. But again, it's not a real job. It's fantastic. I get to watch sport and report on it and travel for a living. I mean, it's pretty much every guy's dream job.
All right, so we know you have a soft spot for the Sharks, the Lions, and Chelsea. If you had to pick one?
Definitely the Sharks, without a doubt. Well, my first passion is the Springboks. Then we go down to the Sharks, and a lot of people say, well, hey, he's from the Eastern Cape, he's from PE, why the Sharks? But people forget that back in the day, when Super Rugby went franchise, the Sharks took over Border as well as EP. So that was our Super Rugby side. And ever since then, I've always been a Sharks fan. And then the Lions, because I'm a Joburg man now. Chelsea in terms of football, but to be honest, I'm not a massive football fan, but I enjoy them just because I need an opposition.
Just because you had to pick somebody at the end of the day. And
yes,
they had a bit of Tom behind them and a few foreign names that were kind of attractive.
Lots of foreign names, and also the fact that most other people went for Man U. So I always wanted to be an opponent as opposed to a teammate. So I went for the Blues, and I don't find many Chelsea supporters out there, to be honest.
Well, there aren't many in South Africa, I would have thought. But anyway, Mel Gibson always said that everybody has an alter ego. Not many people know you from outside of the camera. do you have this kind of pillaging Viking raging inside you that wants to break free, or are you a bit of a nerd? But sort of introspective.
Funny enough, before we started filming, I was actually chatting to the cameraman's wife about books. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm absolutely addicted to books. I'm a glutton for reading. I'll finish a book in 2 days easily, and I'm currently in the throes of about 4 or 5 books as we speak. And
you can't seem to finish one. You just kind of spread between
yes, it depends on what mood I'm in. I buy a lot of sports biographies. I collect them, but at the moment I'm in a bit of a fiction mood. But that is my nerdy side coming out. But in terms of alter ego, another thing that you don't really notice is the fact that this is not all natural. So probably George Clooney, my alter ego, given there's a lot of greys hiding behind this.
So there's a bit of colour on top there, Derek Alberts.
Not a bit, a lot.
Derek Alberts, ladies and gentlemen, he is at Derek Alberts1 on Twitter. Of course, he's the 94.7 sports reader for Mark Pilgrim's show. You can see him all over SuperSport, voice on Blitz, and his face on a few shows. What have you done recently? What did you enjoy Superfan?
I loved it, and it's still busy. We've got obviously the final coming up, and the 3rd and 4th place playoff. It's great. I mean, it's a completely new show. It's never been done before. My co-host TD is fantastic, and a lot of people don't know her background because she doesn't have much of a background in terms of the fact that she finished 3rd on Lady Rugger. So for someone of that little experience to be thrown in the deep end, and really it is very, very deep. It's live, unscripted, and we managed to get through half an hour of show on a daily basis. We really, really enjoy it. And the nice element is the fact that other people get to interact with us. And she's been fantastic with it. And there's a hint that it might carry on beyond the Rugby World Cup. Let's hold thumbs. But I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
Awesome. And he's also got a column as well that he's writing for sportsillustrated.co.za, Out of Bounds. And we're not talking about Gaddafi here because he's apparently gone. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Sport like it is, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back soon. Thank you very much, Derek Alberts, for joining us. Cheers, guys.